What's up guys, it's Oblivious Gamer here. And well, today I feel we got some interesting news. Apparently, Wild Bunch Production, a company founded by the core team that created Wild Arms, and Yukikase, a company founded by the core team that created Shadow Hearts, have announced a spiritual successor for Wild Arms, which is Arm Fantasia to the End of the Wilderness, and a spiritual successor for Shadow Hearts, being Penny Blood. Personally though, I'm more interested in Arm Fantasia to the End of the Wilderness. Now, before I continue, if you like the content, don't forget to subscribe. So Wild Arms is a RPG franchise developed by MediaVision and owned by Sony Computer Entertainment. The first game, which was Wild Arms, came out in 1996, and the franchise consists of several role-playing games. Sadly though, we really haven't seen much new from this franchise, at least when it comes to games. If I'm not mistaken, the final Wild Arms game was like Wild Arms 5, which came out in 2006, at least in a console. I think Wild Arms like XF came out 2007, so that's a bit newer, but that was just for the PSP. This franchise has a lot of history and of course a lot of fans. Sadly though, there really hasn't been any word of like, are we gonna get a new Wild Arms, or like, are they gonna try to revive the franchise? Like, it's been pretty quiet. So when I heard this news that a team composed of developers from Wild Arms, I was like, okay, this could be fun and interesting, especially coming from them, and I personally did enjoy Wild Arms 1 and 2 a lot. To be honest, I'm quite intrigued after looking at the small teaser that shows a bit of combat. It's like super short. And there are some screenshots also. I think the art style is something that I'm really liking. I know some people might have their problems with it. They might feel it's a bit too anime, but I really like it, and I really like how the 3D models are looking also. And of course, this game will be a turn-based RPG, as we can see, which I am a huge fan of turn-based RPGs, like I'm not gonna miss out on this. Apart from that, there are some other things that were announced. So, Wild Bunch Productions announced that they will be doing a Kickstarter for this game and the other game, which is Penny Blood. The games will share a mutual funding goal of $750,000, which will secure a PC release for each game. Of course, there are stretch goals that guarantees ports to the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and according to them, the newest Nintendo hardware at the time, which it's probably gonna be a Switch, maybe. I don't know, there's no date on when they're gonna release this. So it could be a year, 2, or 3. Another thing though is I feel $750,000 for 2 games is not a lot. Maybe it's mostly for the publishing aspects. We'll have to see. The Kickstarter is supposed to start August 29th, so right now there isn't much. There's just a website that says, oh, notify me when, the Kickstarter opens. They also mentioned that there will be like an early bird combo, which will allow early backers to pledge for both games at a highly discounted price. There's also some more stuff, and let me read this. The Kickstarter campaign will also integrate what they call a combo meter that affects stretch goals across both games. A pledge for one game will not only add to the game's stretch goal meter, it will also contribute to the shared combo meter that fills up with support from both games. The more the combo meter builds up, the more content that is unlocked across both games. By backing one or both games, backers will help build both titles and support other backers, clearing funding of the other. There's also mention that they will plan to host like weekly events, which one of the heroes from each game will face off against a monster. It says campaign followers will see 5 different social media based goals related to an attack, special move, or block, and each monster will have a set of number of hits it would take to defeat them. Defeating a monster clears that community stretch goal and upgrades the rewards chosen during pledges. If one game's team is not able to clear its goal by not hitting a monster enough times, any hits or clear goals from the other game will carry over, allowing one community to help the other. So it is interesting, I would say, how they are approaching this with this whole mutual funding that they got and like helping each other. I guess it's a way for fans of both ways to find ways to work together, which is not a bad thing. Like if you just want to fund one game or you want to fund both games, you're still contributing and helping out towards the final goal. For me, I'm more interested in Fantasia, so that's mostly where my attention is going. It's interesting how many developers are jumping to Kickstarter, especially for spiritual successors. I mean, the latest one, which at least was a massive success when it came to funding, because the game isn't out. Just they managed to reach their goal and they blew past the stretch goals, was Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, which this game is supposed to be a spiritual successor to Suikoden. And now here we have spiritual successors to Wild Arms and Shadow Hearts. Now, this is a Kickstarter, so as always, be mindful about this and remember, some Kickstarters have success and others are failures.
And you can absorb their power-ups, stuff that'll make you faster and stronger and make the bad guys cry like an anime fan on prom night.
So be wise how you spend your money. I will probably pledge for Fantasia as I'm very curious about this, and at least I like a lot the designs, but we still have to see more how the game ends up being, especially if the goals end up being completed and if the game goes into production. So yeah, that's it for me guys. As always, what are your thoughts? Are you excited, concerned, curious? Feel free to leave your thoughts down below. This has been Oblivious Gamer, and I hope you'll have a wonderful day or night wherever you are.